Right now, growing on Amazon feels brutally hard, and it has almost nothing to do with your product or how hard your team is working. Your brand has a great product, strong reviews, a solid listing, and you're even running ads, but you're stuck running hacks and tactics, each on its own, instead of one complete system, so nothing compounds. After selling over $100 million on Amazon, I can tell you that Amazon stays hard right up until the moment these pieces connect into one machine. And then it gets simple. So I'm going to show you the entire machine, the 5 systems that compound Amazon growth. By the end, you'll look at your own brand and know exactly which system is broken and what to fix to get to the next stage. The first thing we're going to start with is conversion, because there's no point of sending all the traffic you're going to fill if it's not going to convert. It's like filling up a bucket that has holes in it. The bucket is never going to get filled up. It's just going to keep pouring out of the holes. And a lot of brands do that. So we want to make sure that we're optimizing the PDP, the product detail page. This is exactly where the Amazon listing sits. And it has your entire image stack, 7 images. It has your SEO, your main content. It has the title, all the information about that specific product. And you want to optimize this before looking at anything else, because you want to make sure that you're sending customers to a place that looks good and a place that they will buy from. Because this is actually one of the main things that Amazon's algorithm looks at, is your conversion rate, because that indicates a healthy customer journey. They didn't just go through the entire process and get all the way to conversion to your page and leave, because Amazon doesn't want that. They want obviously the sale to go through. So this includes a lot of things. Obviously, taking advantage of your full image stack is just the first place to start with. So having 7 images, and these images covering a wide array of things. It's not your product 7 different ways, right? There's infographics, there's one with customer reviews, there's a lifestyle image showing people using your product. One of my favorite images to have here is ours versus competitors, kind of your UVP, having all that kind of stuff, speaking to it, your SEO, tailored towards intent-based SEO, so that when customers ask Alexa to ask about your product, they get the right information about it. And you want to front load the important stuff proportionally, because that's where customers' attention are going to be. So if you have a very important image, you want to make sure it's the 2nd or 3rd image, not the 6th, because proportionally, that's where customers are going to more likely to see it, and then it's going to drop off. Same thing with a very important item. If you have a very important thing, your UVP, unique value proposition, USP, unique selling proposition, put it in your title if it can fit, or if not, put it in the first bullet point. But you don't want to stuff it all the way at the end. It's very unlikely that they're going to see it. And you even want to include that as callouts on images as well. So for example, if it's organic, have that be in the 2nd image. If it's certified and tested, have that be in the 3rd image. Just understanding what's most important to your customer and front loading that at the beginning, so that the customer feels that relief and goes through the mentor checklist and proceeds with the purchase. The second part of the system is about your main image. Your page converts now, but still you have to win that click. And that's where a lot of products show up on the search engine result page, SERP, and you have to win the click compared to everyone else. And there's 2 primary factors that lead to you winning the click: the main image and the title. There's other stuff that you can control, maybe not as much, but obviously reviews and ratings. There's the price. Those are big factors, coupons, all that kind of stuff. But the 2 main factors they can control that will bring you a big lift, assuming you already optimized, you're obviously always optimizing for reviews and prices, is basically, and I'm going to get SJ into that a little bit more, so make sure to stick around, is going to be actually the main image and then the title. And now Amazon actually shortened the title requirement from 200 characters to 75. And I actually think this is a little bit better, because on the mobile, it used to show 80 characters anyways. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing again for mobile and front loading the primary UVPs in the title. So like I mentioned, if your UVP for your customer is that, let's say it's a deodorant, the last 24 hours, you want to put that in the last 24 hours. If that's something that differentiates you from customers, that you at least get the win and they get to read more information. But if you're not getting that click, you're not getting to the next step. So that's where, and again, if you didn't optimize conversion before, you'll win the click, but then they'll drop off and Amazon will punish you. So that's why it's a system, and there's a certain sequence to it. So you want to make sure that your main image is there. It's loading up the entire screen. It clearly shows your product. Ideally, you want it to pop off the logo so that customers can be attracted and you can win them there. And then also same thing for the title. You want to be succinct, clear, simple, what your product is about, your main value proposition, adding that all in there so that you can win the click and get the sale. The third part of the system is traffic. Now that you have a product that people will click on to see more details on, which is the main image click-through rate, and that once they click through and they'll see an interesting listing that they're going to buy and convert, this is where you can focus on sending traffic to that listing. And this all has to do with optimizing advertising on Amazon. It's a pay-per-click system. Sponsored products are still one of the primary, most effective ways to get there. And this is where you really focus on making sure that your product is seen, especially on keywords that you're likely to win. So for example, if I have a deodorant that's premium priced, going back to the previous example, that people are going to buy because it's organic, I'm going to target organic deodorant or premium deodorant, right? Because competing against the general term for deodorant, I'm very unlikely to win that against, let's say, very established brands that are existing there that have maybe tens of thousands of reviews. So that's where you want to target traffic. Again, it loops back into it. That is relevant to your customer that you're targeting in your image and the product detail page, so that the traffic goes somewhere and actually converts rather than ending up nowhere. This is where there's so much to talk about ads and how to optimize it, but the point is that this is where ads come in, and that's how it funnels into the rest of your system to drive sales. A very important factor in ads is actually looking at tacos/MER instead of just looking at ROAS and ACOS. And the reason for that is a lot of the traffic ideally that you're sending is eventually going to become organic traffic, because you're getting that healthy conversion rate that you implemented in the first step. So the paid traffic eventually leads to organic ranking, and that eventually becomes organic traffic. And before I jump into the fourth step, I actually want to see if you want this implemented for your brand, you want your brand to grow on Amazon, come check us out at partnerships.voadera.com. We can look into your brand, see if it's a good fit for both parties, and talk about a partnership. The fourth step of the system, now that we optimized everything and we're sending traffic and the traffic is clicking through on the main image and they're converting, now we have to make sure we optimize for availability. And this is where it becomes really tough. We have a lot of brands. One of our brands, for example, it's in the home and accessories category, and it's growing 40% year over year. And with growth, because especially if you're doing the first three-part system right, you're going to start experiencing growth. And with growth, availability and being in stock becomes much harder, especially when you wrote that down to being same-day shipping, because being in stock could mean a lot of things. It could be at the very worst end of the spectrum where you're back ordered and customers get it a month later. Or at the best day, all of your customers get it same day. And the better you nail your inventory, even within, by the way, FBA and Prime, there's a difference between 3-day shipping. Prime can be all the way up to 3-day shipping versus 0-day shipping, which is same-day shipping. And you want to make sure you get as many products and to as many locations same-day shipping as possible, because that's how you influence conversion rate, going back to the beginning. So not only do you want to be in stock, but you want to be the best version of being in stock, which is same-day shipping. And to really do that with a growing brand, it becomes much harder, because now your factory takes longer time to produce. It takes a longer time to ship because you're maybe shipping 2 containers instead of 1. It takes a longer time to check in. Even when you're doing tentpole events with Prime Day, Q4, everything becomes harder as you get bigger. And that's where you really have to nail in availability as your traffic begins to increase, because if you run out of stock, that's a chance for your competitor to eat your market share, a chance for you to lose subscribers if you have subscribe and saving customers. It's a chance for a cascading negative effect. And a lot of the effort, if not all of it, that you spent money to traffic, time and money into getting out the best creative assets, it goes to waste and you lose so much money. So you really want to make sure that you're looking at availability in tandem to the other ones, and that you're always being in stock and you're checking your stock daily to not obviously running out of stock is horrible, but even getting into, let's say, MF stock or back ordered, that's extremely bad. You want ideally same-day shipping across the board for all of your product. And actually, I know it takes cash flow to fund this, so I'm going to put a link to one of the videos at the end about how to fund cash flow to fund your growth as you go through it. The fifth part of the system, and arguably the most important, is all about profit. And the reason I mention this at the end is not because it's least important, but because without any sales, profit is irrelevant. You have to have something on the top and revenue to have obviously profit at the bottom. But this is where you really can tweak things, and especially with volume, you can increase the profitability. And here's how. Just one simple example. We had a product that grew 50% year over year. We were ordering, instead of 100 units a month, we needed now 150 units a month. We went back to our factory and we told them, since we're producing more, your fixed costs are the same. We want a better price. They gave us a better price. Same thing, supply chain. We got better prices because now we're sending in more. Same thing across the board, because now we have the same amount of employees managing more units. We saved money there. Our fixed cost got spread across more products. So that's one part of it, is that you can negotiate better rates, or even your fixed costs get spread across the board. But even as you get more sales, you also get more reviews, more ratings. And what you can do with that is, that's a differentiator on its own. A, you can use that to raise price. But B, since you have more sales, now you can invest in R&D, develop an even better UVP, unique value proposition, and then even raise price more. And invest in even better creative assets, making it look more premium. And even then, raise price and invest more. So you can kind of see how it all loops back into it, because with more sales, it's easier to generate more profit indirectly by tweaking things on the revenue side of things, or even on the expenses side of things, right? Like revenue, for example, we mentioned positioning, having better assets, but expenses, we mentioned manufacturing costs, supply chain, all that kind of stuff to generate additional profit. And we had this example for one of our products. It was huge. And as we sold more, it was literally deck tiles and along those categories. As we sold more, we negotiated, because we had to MF this because of how big it was, we were able to negotiate with our 3PL to get a better per pallet rate. And that's where you can negotiate. And then we have the same brand manager, instead of managing, let's say, 1,000 units in sales, now they're managing 2,000 units in sale, but their salary didn't double. Yes, we gave them a bonus for good and good, but we didn't have to, costs didn't proportionally rise with the rise in sales. So that's why I look at profit at the end, because you want some momentum and velocity to be able to impact other things to really raise the threshold. And that's the entire 5-part system. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. And as you grow and you implement the system, you'll need cash flow. So make sure to watch this video here on how we bought $40 million of inventory last year and funded that cash flow.